The morning sun had just begun to warm the quiet countryside when a sleek black luxury car slowly stopped in front of an old mud house standing alone near a dusty road in a rural part of the United States. The house looked fragile, its walls cracked with age and its wooden door faded by years of wind and rain. Chickens wandered near the yard, and a small clothesline moved gently in the breeze. Anyone passing by would never imagine that the man stepping out of the expensive car was one of the youngest millionaires in the city. Yet there he stood, staring silently at the humble home of the woman who had quietly changed his life in ways he had only begun to understand. Before we continue this emotional story, take a moment to support our channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to DRAMEXSTORY for more heart-touching stories like this. The young millionaire's name was Adrian Cole, a 28-year-old entrepreneur who had built a successful technology company that made him wealthy beyond imagination. His life was filled with luxury offices, high-rise apartments, expensive dinners, and endless meetings. Yet despite all that success, something had always felt empty inside him. For years, he had lived in a large modern mansion in the city, surrounded by employees who worked quietly in the background to maintain his lifestyle. Among them was a maid named Elena Rivera, a 55-year-old woman with gentle eyes, silver-streaked hair tied in a simple bun, and a calm presence that seemed to bring peace to every room she entered. Elena had worked in Adrian's home for nearly 3 years. She always arrived early in the morning, cleaned every corner carefully, cooked simple meals, and left quietly before evening. She never asked for anything extra, never complained, and always greeted Adrian with a respectful smile. To Adrian, she was simply part of the household staff, someone dependable but distant. He had never asked much about her life. Everything changed one afternoon when Adrian accidentally overheard a phone call between Elena and someone she believed was not listening. Her voice sounded tired but warm as she spoke about sending most of her salary to help pay medical bills for a family member. She also mentioned how grateful she was just to have stable work, so she could keep a roof over her family's heads in their small countryside home. For the first time, Adrian realized he knew nothing about the woman who quietly worked in his house every day. Curiosity stayed with him for days. Eventually, he asked Elena where she lived. She hesitated at first, almost embarrassed, but kindly told him about her old family house far outside the city. That simple conversation planted a thought in Adrian's mind that he could not ignore. So, on this bright daytime morning, he decided to visit her home himself. Standing in front of the small mud house now, Adrian felt something unfamiliar, nervousness. The place looked so different from the polished world he lived in. The ground was uneven, the windows were small and simple, and the entire home seemed built with love rather than money. When Elena opened the wooden door and saw Adrian standing there, shock spread across her face. She had never expected the wealthy man she worked for to appear at her doorstep. Inside the house, the simplicity of life became even clearer. The furniture was old but carefully maintained. A small wooden table stood in the center of the room with a vase holding a few wildflowers. Sunlight entered through the narrow window, filling the space with a soft golden glow. In one corner, an elderly man rested on a chair, wrapped in a blanket. His breathing was slow and fragile. Adrian soon learned that the man was Elena's older brother, Miguel, who had been ill for several years. Medical treatment had been expensive, and Elena had spent nearly everything she earned trying to care for him. Despite the struggle, the house felt strangely peaceful. As Adrian looked around, he noticed something that made his chest tighten. On a small shelf near the wall were several framed photographs. Among them was a picture of Elena standing proudly beside Adrian during the grand opening of his company headquarters 3 years earlier. He stared at the photo, confused. Elena gently explained that she had kept that picture because it reminded her of the day Adrian gave her the job that allowed her to support her brother. To her, that moment had changed everything. Adrian suddenly realized something painful and beautiful at the same time. While he had barely remembered hiring her, she had carried that moment in her heart like a gift that saved her family. The realization hit him harder than he expected. All the success, money, and recognition he had built suddenly felt small compared to the quiet sacrifices this woman had made every single day. As sunlight filled the room and Alina continued preparing a simple lunch from the little food she had, Adrian's eyes slowly filled with tears. No business achievement had ever moved him the way this humble home and this woman's quiet strength did. For the first time in years, he understood the true meaning of gratitude. He saw how Alina had spent her life helping others without expecting recognition. He saw how kindness could exist even in the hardest circumstances. And most of all, he realized how blind he had been to the lives of the people around him. Before leaving, Adrian made a silent promise to himself that things would change, not out of pity, but out of respect and appreciation for the humanity he had finally begun to see. Dear viewers, before we reach the end of this story, if this moment has touched your heart even a little, please take a second to like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and support the message of compassion on this channel. And here is a special request for all of you watching. Please comment the word kindness if you believe small acts of care can change someone's life. As Adrian drove away from the old mud house that afternoon, the countryside sunlight felt warmer than before. For the first time since becoming wealthy, he felt something deeper than success. He felt human again. And sometimes, the greatest wealth a person can discover is not found in bank accounts or luxury homes, but in the quiet courage of people who choose kindness every single day. If this story moved your heart, please engage with the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay connected with DRAMEXSTORY, where every story reminds us that humanity still lives in the most unexpected places.